Throughout my years of schooling, I've never created long-lasting relationships with teachers. With students, the people I spent 7 to 12 years with, I made incredible friendships that will carry on past my college years. But before my sophomore year of high school, I could not envision myself missing a teacher after my time at Hapoel Horsham. This was true, and so I met Mr. Fromal. I remember meeting him my freshman year of high school when his room was still down in B118 and it was his first year teaching enrichment, ever. I was judgmental of the enrichment experience ahead of me, mainly because of the impactful experience I had in middle school with Mrs. Fleming. I wasn't optimistic to change at that time, but halfway through my freshman year, I noticed something in Mr. Frommel that I had never seen in any other teacher before. He truly had good intentions for all his students, even though he barely knew us at that time. By January, he recollected all our names and was aware of our clubs and activities. However, he had not been exposed to our true selves yet. As he was getting comfortable in his new chair, so were we. Regardless, he made grand attempts to understand our personalities and what makes us gifted. I recall one instance in which my friend and I had to make bead bracelets for our extracurricular activity, BBYO. The goal was to probe enough tiny royal beads onto a transparent string that dangled like a squirming worm, and then write out "Hello BBG" in Altoid-sized letters. As Mr. Frommel observed from his metallic desk, blue beads skipped from the desk to the floor and landed beyond the ocean of blue speckled carpets. Any other teacher would be annoyed that we were littering their classroom and would ask us to do it elsewhere. He understood our ambitions and what difficulty we would go through to achieve them. Aside from Mr. Frommel's patience and understanding demeanor towards his students, I truly praise him for handling the intense workload that faces him every single day. Graduating from Duke University, Frommel is an asset to the mathematics department at this high school, since he is practically a math whiz. Considering my lack of coherency in math, Mr. Frommel was always willing to help me understand concepts that I couldn't grasp in a large classroom setting. On top of his regular teaching position, Mr. Frommel is the enrichment teacher, advisor for the National Honor Society, coach for the boys cross-country team, and for the boys winter and spring track teams. Not to mention, he is a dedicated father of 2 boys and a husband. With all this comes overwhelming responsibilities. Due to his amazing work ethic and logical thinking skills, Mr. Frommel has learned how to manage versatile tasks efficiently and accurately. I admire that in a person, and he has taught and inspired me to do the same. Most and foremost, Mr. Frommel is someone that I can look up to as a role model. My enrichment grade labeled him with the nickname School Dad due to the heights he would go to ensure our well-beings. I'll look back on one day when I marched out of band class early in my first semester of junior year. I left that room that day knowing I will never step a foot back in it again. A foreign feeling came over me walking through those halls. The nerves behind my head felt tense, and I knew what this feeling was associated with, but I never felt it in school before. I miraculously appeared in Mr. Frommel's room, with an angry face but sad eyes. I wanted to quit. Needless to say, I spoke with Mr. Frommel for about 10 minutes before the swarm of kids filled his room in F210. I returned to band class the next red day. I finished off the semester, but sadly quit the clarinet. He really taught me how to face the situation head on and to just deal with it. Eventually, my problems will be over if I do what needs to be done. I'm glad that I learned this lesson early in my life because persistence and hard work are skills that I'll carry long after my time at Hapoel Horsham. Now that I am graduating, I will truly miss having lunch in his classroom with my best friends. Mackenzie always giving him her rainbow goldfish from the PB&J box. Mr. Frommel has always left his door open for others, allowing his room to be a safe and welcoming environment for all. I remember one instance in which he even allowed my friends to attend an enrichment field trip to watch a dance company. No, they were not an enrichment, and no, I wasn't even on the trip. I appreciate all the moments I had in high school where I had a person I could count on as my teacher, my counselor, and my school dad. If you haven't had the pleasure of making a connection with Mr. Frommel as I have, I hope you have found a teacher at Hapoel Horsham that left you with a lasting impression, as he has for me.